And then we have some effort going into some other things that I can't talk about because we don't want to get anyone excited.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, just like false excitement.
Oh my god.
I mean, I want you guys to be excited that we're exploring things, but I don't want you to be disappointed if it takes a year or more.
Yeah, is it still kind of up in
Then
the
don't
air?
promise anything. Just get developing what you
I've
can.
I
never
was about to say, a
promised.
lot can happen.
Yeah,
with
you're actually pretty good about that. I feel like
Like, never
you're
promise anything
yeah.
because then you disappoint people. What happens is you try to work on something, then when you know you can work on something, you hype people up for it.
But we are trying to put some focus into new experiences because we know that's one of the ways you get new players, and that's
Yeah.
one of the ways you have older players continue to play. Because honestly, even a fun game like Mind Z gets a little boring after 5 years.
Yeah, that's like same with Annie.
Nice.
Gold Rush.
What did I kill?
So we have to be careful.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you guys considered reverting your EULA changes with all these new servers that don't follow it, that are a lot bigger than Shotbow?
I mean, no. I don't think we're ever going to go back to selling XP and having
Oh god,
premium
sorry.
XP multiplier.
Navarr.
Don't sell XP. So I've been confused about this for a while, but it's something I want to look into. Also, partially because I'm in a computer science class and I got to write about this for a little bit. But what do you currently do that I guess I won't go negative? Like, how much of what you do doesn't break EULA guaranteed?
Sorry, can you ask that again?
How much of what you currently do as a server doesn't break EULA guaranteed? Like, what can you say confidently? Like, when people contest it, won't break EULA.
So cosmetics definitely do not break EULA. I can't say definitively, but I'm like 90% sure that our game instance XP multiplier doesn't break EULA.
Crispy behind you.
I'm pretty sure that's allowed. It's really hard, right? Because we didn't write the guidelines, and only the people who did know exactly what violates them or not. Crap.
What are your thoughts on the community's backlash to Murgatron's drastic changes to Annihilation?
So, I think people are upset over something that it's like a lot of the community has picked this really weird, hill.
I realize you didn't have to stab me, right?
I know, but my sword just randomly broke. I have no clue where it went.
What's the relationship between Shotbow and that new network that you guys partnered with or whatever? Like, does Shotbow own them or vice versa?
No. We're in a mutually beneficial partnership.
Is that like you're sharing some code or something?
Yeah, we are.
Sorry.
We've kind of come to an agreement to help each other out with code, with game modes that we like from the other team, and try to bring experiences that we think each other's server populations are going to like, so that both of us can sort of prosper. Especially now that we don't have an EU instance, we don't really have to compete in the EU arena, and they're in the EU arena. So it allows us to be global without having any of the downsides of being global.
They weren't English-based either, right?
They're not English-based. They're Dutch-based.
So would you guys have considered like an NA server that's English-based, or I'm guessing you guys just want to do that because you wanted something that doesn't affect Shotbow itself?
Basically that. We haven't really, like, they came to us with a proposal, and then we fleshed it out with them. So it wasn't something that we were particularly looking for, or that they were particularly looking for. It was just something that came up and that we thought might be pretty cool and pretty beneficial for both of us. So that's what that is.
Oh my god, Kingy.
How do you find them? Like,
They have particles that they flash off every now and then.
Yeah.
oh,
So this game requires particles. Turn your particles on.
Bye bye.
Which is something I also want to get into. So as I've been playing like games like Ghostcraft or games like Death by Void and things like that, like I've noticed that certain things require very certain aspects of Minecraft that it's somewhat difficult for me to run all the time. Like if I don't have particles on Ghostcraft, I'm at a major disadvantage, and having bad ping in Death by Void, MineZ, etc. is also a major disadvantage. And I'm wondering if there's going to be any move to balance the games a lot further than they are right now.
Especially with ping related, that is like, I see where you're coming from. First off, I understand where you're coming from with that, but it's something that's so heavily specialized, and our developers don't have like that level of time to deal with something that specialized, that I don't think anything is going to happen for it. At least not unless we get to some crazy level of profitability. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
oh my god!
What is happening?
What was that?
Swipe, what did you just do?
I don't know. Maybe I'm toggling something. I'm stuck in a block.
Ghosts have ghost heads.
What just
What
happened?
just happened?
Swipe,
There's
you
a
broke the
machine gun going on there,
Oh
Mike.
my gosh! What the heck? Navarr, you can check me.
That was Swipe battle bowing like 5 ghosts at once or something like that.
Oh my gosh, that was wild.
Is there anyone currently working on Slaughter? The answer to that is no. There is not anyone actively working on Slaughter as like their main development project. Some dev resources can go towards it on the occasion that a developer wants to, and they can help out and they have the time to, but it's not high up on the priority list right now.
Any developments on advertising Shotbow as a server and just getting, the name back out there again?
That's my least favorite question, and it's one that I've been asked quite a few times.
Probably by me.
I have some very small ideas of things that I can do for that, but I don't have a lot of them. And certainly anything that's really effective is really expensive, and we don't have a lot of budget for stuff like that.
I'm sure.
That said, there are some things that I think we can try to do, and I think, assuming that we do them, it will be sort of after we have some new content with us that we're very proud of and that we don't think players are going to see and think, oh, this server is crap. We really want something polished.
Yeah.
That will make
Maybe
players stay.
Gold Rush or something.
Oh god, Kingy saw me.
Well, yeah.
He's dead. Goodbye, Kingy.
Jesus Christ!
I cry.
What will happen with regards to the world event that got destroyed by lag, and will it be relevant and significant to the lore? I cannot answer that, Shaman, as that is entirely Halo's domain. I simply do not know. I don't think it will be, but like I said, I simply don't know. Are there
No, I died.
Are there any plans on making changes to the potion loot given the mixed negative reaction? Since this is me answering questions, I don't know. I'm not responsible for the creative side of MineZ. So I don't have an answer for that. How did 1.8 PvP stop working on Slaughter if it didn't get changed? I don't know the specifics of Slaughter and any specific bugs like that.
Shotbow to 1.7 XD. Okay.
Damn.
Is anyone working on Win and Rogue? There is nothing I can say about that at this time. There's certainly no chances of Win and Rogue going live soon. I think
Man, I
one or
love that
two of
game.
our developers take a peek at it because everyone wants Win and Rogue, right? Win and Rogue would be the best, and it would be a new experience, and it would be fantastic. But to really bring out the game like we want to, because Goldblade had a. I keep seeing these poison particles and thinking they're ghosts, and I hate it. But Goldblade, before he's sort of went inactive or retired or whatever Goldblade is up to these days, had a huge amount of ideas that would really polish Win and Rogue and make it just a terrific game. So if we were to make Win and Rogue, there is a lot of work that has to go into it. So certainly developers might peek at it from time to time, but there's nothing coming soon with Win and Rogue.
Crispy, you scrub.
Navarr.
What about Wasted? So Wasted has some help from Doc, but I think it's primarily a Robert the Goat project. Doc can correct me if I'm wrong. He's here, although he's not talking. And Robert the Goat is he is a builder. He's sort of, I think he's either a junior developer or a full developer now, and probably learning most of his Minecraft experience with Shotbow. So it's a work in progress. I hope we can see something come out of that soon, but there's nothing to announce at this time.
If you don't got anything else to read from the shout box, I have a question.
Yeah, it looks like I don't have anything else.
How often will these types of events and or in general just interaction with the community from the admins happen?
So, probably not very often. I'm doing it right now because my wife and my daughter are out spending some time with my wife's side of the family. So I have some free time because my Sea of Thieves partners also aren't on. And once I fixed up some issues like some Annihilation XP classes that were purchased but that players didn't get in-game, I decided that I was a little bored and wanted to come do this. So it's really all up to the amount of free time that us as staff have. And really anyone could do stuff like this. It's just that it takes time. Like a lot of other admins, not me because I don't patrol anymore, a lot of other admins could be patrolling now or doing other things that are within their realm of responsibility that some players would chew them out for not doing, for participating with the community instead. So it's really hard to sort of dedicate any time towards being with the community like this. It's something that I would love to see more often and that I would love to do more often, but it's difficult. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You get interrupted while answering my question about community's backlash to Merg's Annihilation changes. Could you continue? Yes, I could. I think the community has picked a very weird hill to decide to die on. The one change that I'm familiar with that has had backlash is the censoring of a phrase.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. There's been a lot of backlash over that, and I think honestly the backlash is kind of silly. And one of the reasons for that, I've kind of agreed with Murgatron on why he's made his decision, is that I've not heard many, or I've only heard stories about people enjoying hearing death and taking some action after someone says death, when I've specifically said that I haven't heard anything about that side of death, which to me means that I don't think a lot of people are getting use out of death. Some people might be annoyed. Certainly Merg and Gallop were really annoyed when it happened in games that they played. So I don't see it as a huge problem. I think the community is.
Could I give my view on this? Because I kind of I don't know. I was angered enough to make a post on it, I guess. My thing was, it was kind of like a silly change and unnecessary, and there are a lot of other things that they could have done, and so it was more of not exactly like the reason for it was the reason for it over other things that could have been done.
So they didn't. I don't think they did it over anything else that could be done. There was a portion of a game that they play and that they really love because they do, that annoyed them very heavily, and so they took action to fix that. Is how I see it.
Yeah, and then I think It
Oh,
goes
God,
to show,
I'm a
like, at
ghost.
least everyone on the forums has made it clear that they did not necessarily like respond well to the change, and that it still wasn't changed back. I think that was a big thing. Oh wow, you got destroyed.
Yeah, because I'm answering. I can't
It's all good, man.
focus
It's all
on
good.
either of these. So it's like if I'm the ghost, we're just all screwed.
Nah, yeah, you're good.
Hmm.
But do you see why we could be like, wait, what the heck? Why?
I do. I just think. I think this is one maybe the community should let go.
I think we have, honestly. We've definitely let it go. I mean, you haven't heard that much of a
After-
peep from it in 2 months.
After 5 years on Shotbow, I also recognize that anytime anything is done, people get upset.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, of course.
Always.
Like a favorite example of mine now is the gold name tag, where also the community picked a really weird hill to decide to die on. So with that, we did change it back, and now some people are upset that it's been changed back. So it's just sort of a no-win scenario there.
Yeah, no matter what changes that you make, it'll like make people upset.
Yeah, just some more than others, I guess.
I'm not sure whether it's the factor that like half the community wants it and half the community doesn't, or just that people are ignorant and like, hey, this name
Exactly.
this gold name has been previous. You know what it's gonna be, so why vote this one out when you know it's gonna be worse? But, well, at least that's how I see it.
I mean, from my point of view, it's like people paid 20, like back in like a long time ago, like people paid $25 for that name.
I was one of
Why
those
can't they
people.
have it?
Oh yeah, I bought it too.
Look, I'll be
Back in like
honest.
2013.
And
It
that's
seemed weird.
That's honestly the reason that I suggested we go back to the gold name, is because it was originally a purchase and people purchased it under certain conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess some newer people might have purchased it under different conditions, so maybe I shouldn't have made that decision or asked that change to be made, but
Yeah,
I did,
but, like,
and it was done, so that's where we are now, and I hope everyone just drops it, because I can't tell you how sick of it I am.
I mean,
the
of
last
all the
person to complain
problems
about
that-
the change was Solar.
Of all the problems that could be addressed, I feel like that was kind of one of the weaker problems that could have been dealt with. Like,
It certainly was. It was just something that I was getting really annoyed with.
yeah, no, like, and that's fine. Like, a change was made. I just think the amount of outcry on either side was a little bit intense over a slight color change. Like, I was fine with it before. I was fine with it afterward. It didn't matter to me more than other things that could have been addressed on the forums.
Hi, Infinite.
Yeah, and you're always gonna have that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's just the way of the server, way of anything.
Also, thanks for this AMA.
Yeah, it's tough.
I know.
It isn't easy.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on changes that affect Annihilation more directly? Like, no, I do not. To be frank, Annihilation isn't one of my favorite games. It's just not a game I got super into. So I let Merg and others take good care of it. I did enjoy playing it from time to time, but it's like I'm hardcore Mindsy and gun game. And when in Merg,
Yeah. Man.
why do all the arrows in every game mode have black particles? I don't have an answer for that.
Isn't that 112 or 19?
I don't know.
I like the black particles.
Have you seen? Do you enjoy PvP?
Yeah, that's 1.12, I think.
I think I have seen at least 1 or 2 videos of PBG's Mindsy series. I thought he wasn't doing it anymore, though.
He did it like
No, he
once a
isn't.
few months ago.
Yeah.
Like a lot of months ago, right? Almost a year at this point, maybe?
No. Hasn't been
No.
aired.
Wasn't it 6 months ago?
My concept of time is crazy. Have you guys thought of updating to 112? Do you mean 112 is the base version, or what do you mean, Darth?
Yeah, he means that.
As the base version, we are actively considering it, especially because PvP, like the 1.9 PvP changes were made better in 112. If you're using shot or in 111, so if you're using Shotbow on 1.9 or 110, you're getting like a worse experience in PvP than others are. So migrating to 112 is something we are considering and thinking about and may do, but we don't have a set timeline for anything like that right now.
So this question may be more tailored to Merg, but I'll ask it anyways. How do you guys go about doing good balance changing for any game, and also when it comes to the anti-cheat? Is that anti-cheat being updated? How is that kind of fight against hack clients going?
So as far as balancing is concerned, that differs between games. At the end of the road, though, our developers are essentially the creative leads. What they say basically goes for games. What else? You also mentioned anti-cheat. Anti-cheat is something that we do work on. So there are two things, right? There's no cheat and there's anti-cheat. We have those two different systems, and anti-cheat is our system that bans players when it absolutely 100% knows that they're cheating. A ghost is about to kill me because I'm just standing here talking to you guys.
I'll come save you.
Let him die.
Why am I playing this game?
This was your idea, Navarr.
So
Smash.
anti-cheat is something that gets updated slowly. A lot more focus is put into tools that our patrolling admins can use, because anti-cheat does need to be 100% sure.
Yeah.
When we know anti-cheat isn't 100% sure, like we have proof of a false ban, we have overturned all bans that anti-cheat has done. That is one way that we're very different from like other servers like Hypixel and Mineplex, who have this sort of machine learning detection algorithm.
Yeah.
Which is great. That kind of stuff is awesome. And I think it can pull out a lot of hackers, but once you're smaller like we currently are, you kind of don't want to ban anyone unfairly.
Yeah, because Hypixel can afford to do that, right? Correct.
Yeah, they have a ton of players that they can ban whoever they want.
They have a ton of players, and they
have the luxury of being able to have an automated client. That.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I tried to turn around.
That answers my question. Yeah.
I just got stabbed, but I'm not dead. What the hell?
You die when you get stabbed all the time.
To expand on anti-cheat though, currently our admins place a ton more bans than our automated system does. I'm not sure that will change anytime soon, but that's the way it currently is.
As a follow-up to that, a lot of people have been complaining recently about the no cheat affecting parkour dungeons extensively. Is there any plans to relax the no cheat at all?
Yeah, the same with Annihilation. There's a lot of problems with that.
If there are, I have not been party to those discussions. Those are typically done by the development and the administrative leadership of those games working combined. Tweaking no cheat though is something that is very time intensive and very prone to either like you tweak it just a little bit and you've got people flying, or you tweak it the other way just a little bit and people can't do parkour right. So it's we try to get the best balance we can, but it's always very difficult.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are there any recent plans to kind of up our maybe devs to partially full time, possibly?
We would need
to get just more dev power.
We would need a ton more income. To put things into perspective, I make like let's say that I came on full time as a developer.
Sure.
I make close to 3 figures a year. So that is a huge expense. That's thousands of dollars every month. And
How
we
about
would love
part-time?
to. We would absolutely love to bring our developers on full time, but it's not something that we can afford. As for part time, like we've played around with it in the past when we've had more income, and I don't think so. I wasn't in the same position I am now when that was happening.
Sure.
But I don't think that we didn't see the sort of results we expected to see out of it. So
yeah, when you expect when people get paid, they treat it more professionally. So I'm guessing that wasn't what happened.
It's not just that, but when it's part-time instead of full-time, people still don't particularly have the time that they can dedicate towards it.
Sure.
It's still something that they're doing in their downtime, when they're not at work, when they're not with their family. It's that sort of thing. So even part-time payment, unless you have like someone fresh in or out of college, you're not really going to be able to get a good developer under part-time payment, really.
Kind of in a different direction in the same vein regarding
if you can allow me for a minute, I'd like to go over some of the things in the shout box.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I was bringing up. Yeah.
Bring back old Shotbow. Just kidding.
Nalasian asked about, with Pinefrost leaving the team, are there any plans for reopening the builder application form? That is entirely up to the build team, which is run by Halo, and I'm sure he kind of co-runs it with someone.
Mosh.
The build team.
Thank you.
Mosh, thanks. The build team has a long history of sort of being more secretive than the rest of us, if only because Mindsy dungeons and everything have to be really tightly controlled, and the lore to be really tightly controlled, so it's sort of a surprise and an enjoyable experience.
No leaks allowed.
No leaks allowed. If whatever the dev says goes, does that mean the game is pretty much at the mercy of whatever the dev wants to do? Does the community have no say in what they want? Yes and no. I mean, at the end of the road, it is at the mercy of the dev, but developers aren't unreasonable. They want what they think will be the best for the game as much as the community does. So it's an effort for a developer to work with the community to figure out the direction that they want the game to go in and how the community's suggestions will impact that direction, and sort of if they think that those paths align, or if they think that the community has come up with a good idea that they want their direction to change in.
Okay. Does Shotbow have any real system to moderate its own staff and its staff base? And just make sure.
We do have a few systems. They're of course not foolproof, right?
Sure.
Something I have said for years and years is that if you think a staff member is abusing and you have any sort of evidence, to share it with myself, Murgatron, High Life, because we're the top dogs. If we're abusing, then it's just fucked the whole way down. But that said, we do have methods of watching minis. For example, mini admins are often vanished in game, but they can't see full admins that are vanished in game, which gives us the ability to sort of watch what our minis are doing. That said, we also have a system in our personal chat system where any admin can submit an anonymous concern that we definitely read over. A lot of times we respond to them if we think if it's appropriate to respond to the entire staff team.
Sure.
So we have a few ways of trying to deal with any internal abuse and any internal problems.
Thank you.
I realize that's like always a concern, right?
Yeah. So I know
No.
Shotbow had a system of not having admin applications and instead handpicking their own admins. Could you just go over how that kind of transition was into the application system? I was just curious about that.
Before I go into that, I'm going to answer this much easier question by Fox.
Okay.
Because it's much shorter.
Yeah.
Cubion. So Fox asked if there will ever be another creative building game mode like Cubion. Cubion was a very special occurrence. Cubion was a build team that had a public-facing server, and they were having problems hosting it by themselves because that is a huge ordeal, hosting your own server, especially if it starts to get any sort of real traction. And especially with DDoS threats. So we brought them into the network sort of like we initially brought when it was then Civilization.
Civil War, yeah. Civil War. Okay.
Now Civ War, and they're sort of on the network in the same way, but
Yeah.
for other reasons. So we don't currently have plans to bring another game mode like that, especially because it takes a lot of moderation presence, and that's something that, like, having moderation applications and managing a moderation team is a lot of work, and we have to have a bunch of dedicated people. So it's not something we're currently looking into. Now, to go back to Swipe's question, let me try to remember it all.
It's kind of transition from that.
Yeah. Okay.
Picking system. Yeah.
So when we first started out, we did have a very small moderation team. Like, this was before I was staff, and
Yeah.
they were all handpicked because we thought at that time it was the best way to go about it. And in ways, it is and isn't. What we found out eventually was that we needed more staff. We didn't have enough hands on the deck
Yeah.
to deal with what we were dealing with. And I think the community knew that a lot too. I think applications, other than building applications, because building is really skill-based work and administration doesn't have to be. I'm not going to say it's not, because it does take skill. That's why I don't patrol anymore, because I don't know how to detect cheats anymore.
That time has passed.
That time has passed. And because it's a time sink, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we knew we didn't have enough hands on board, and we started the mini admin program, and we started dealing with applications because we now had a form of administrator that we didn't have to trust 100% as far as making sure that no items were spawned, making sure that people weren't being spied on, that sort of thing. We finally had a form of staff that we didn't need to have total and absolutely complete trust in.
For
And
sure,
so
for sure.
At that point, we were able to open up applications and start processing them.
Okay.
I think that's how it happened. I think a bunch of people know my memory is kind of hazy about basically everything all the time. So my history might be slightly off in places.
Okay. Well, thank you.
A Crispy Tortilla asks, are our PMs on the forum safe from being read by higher ups, or does nobody have the permissions to read through other people's PMs? This is, of course, always a touchy subject. So let me put this in the plainest terms possible. The forum works on a database, and people with access to that database can read anything in the database. It is not encrypted. It is not secret information. So absolutely, we will read your PMs if we think your PMs need to be read, especially if someone, because you have the option to report private messages on the forums so that a moderator can review them. That certainly gets seen by moderators. And then if necessary, someone like me can pull up the entire thread in the database. It's not easy. It is a very painful process, and I hate doing it because it's a pain in the butt to do, but it is something that has been done before and will be done before when we think it needs to be done.
I'm sure if there's legal issues, you're going to need to have access to that too as well, right?
Perhaps. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
I've heard that there isn't enough communication between the different staff teams. If there was, would it improve the efficiency of the server? That is a fun question. Enough communication is always going to be subjective. We have a bunch of staff, right? Let me look at our internal system, and I will tell you about how many staff members we have in it. I see 102 people on our internal chat system. That's a ton of people. You're never going to have perfect communication between that many people. It's just not going to happen. So we do the best that we can do. And when we identify a communication problem, we do our best to address it. Ethereal Wraith asks, how much say does High Life have? High Life is the owner. He can kick any of us from the team at any time. He has basically absolute say, but he listens to reason, much like developers listen to reason. High Life, Murgatron, and I pretty much work with each other to sort of decide on things when that's appropriate.
I suppose the last thing I'll ask before I have to go is, how is your day, Navarr?
It's pretty okay. It's pretty good. I did enjoy playing Ghostcraft with everyone, though I see that once I stopped spawning back in, nobody else did.
We're on Smash right now. Oh my gosh, King, what have you done?
So that's the thing. But, it's a pretty good day. I enjoyed this talk that we've had here, and I enjoyed that no one was, out for my head. That was nice for once.
I don't think any of us actually are, except for, the occasional person. I won't say any names, though, but...
See, this is just what you get when you have a chance to broadcast the what's it called, the community that's actually constructive about Shotbow and wants to help.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more of us than you think.
Instead of just having people yell that Shotbow pissed in their Cheerios every morning.
Yeah.
Are you guys saying I should ping everyone more often?
Yes.
That is not what I am saying.
Yes.
Not directly what I'm saying, anyways.
When it comes to telling us things, answering our questions, yes, I don't mind getting pinged for that.
Shaman minded before, but I don't think he does.
I would love to do this more often, but I honestly can't see it happening more often. I'm sorry.
Which is understandable.
It's the worst possible thing that I that I have a job and a family, right?
No. Definitely not.
Yeah, you're living your life, you bum.
Yeah, but that's what people say, oh, what are they doing, Why aren't they on Shotbow every single day of their walking lives?
We do, a lot of the original guard or the old guard, people like Murgatron, myself, and High Life, we're old people now.
Yeah. I remember when I first joined the server, I was, 12? Now I'm 17. I mean, some of us are about to go to college now. Some of the kids.
I've played Shotbow the first time in 8th grade, and I'm in college right now, and I have been back to Shotbow for a little over a year.
Yeah, I'm a second semester senior, so I kind of came back to Shotbow because I wasn't doing anything else in school.
This is a pastime for me.
Yeah,
but it's good to be able to get this type of thing. Anyway, I'm gonna. Y'all take care, everyone in this call. Have a good day.
See ya, bro.
Take care.
It's probably going to be very sad to us all that no one was recording this entire time.
I was.
Yay!
I wish I was.
Our savior.
What was someone actually?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Fox.
Were you here in the beginning? Because if so, I would love to get that from you and possibly.
You can post it.
Curse words. I shouldn't post it.
Recording all the beginning, but
you should post it to YouTube though.
Yeah, just watch where you post it, but yeah, post it.
I was planning on doing that.
All right, that's dope, bro.
You should record the Discord chat when someone pings.
Yeah, I've been recording Shoutbox.
That's awesome.
What are you guys talking about, anyways?
Stuff.
Are there any more questions?
I think that's it.
Questions, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is this just regarding the server type thing?
Yeah.
Is there any annihilation wise? Is there any work on fixing player stacking and premium stack? Is that?
Yeah, it's for Merg, I think.
No, I actually know about this because it's something that I've thought about and I've talked with them a little bit about. It is certainly something that is being investigated. There are some ideas that they have and that I've put forward, and there's just a culmination of ideas of how we might go about sort of preventing this from happening. It's a little tough because we do have that premium perk that anyone can join a full team.
And clans, that incentive for clans to all play in the same team.
Yeah. So
But even if there was like a cap for premiums or like different levels of premiums is like a different level of cap on it.
yeah, so we have to work on an appropriate balance between friends being able to play with each other and team stacking. So it is something that we've identified as a real problem, and it's something that we are working towards fixing.
Okay, yeah, because
Awesome.
I was just in a game with there was I think it was TBC, which is JT Gangster and DJ Pedro and them.
Yeah. I was in that game for a hot second too.
15 people on red and 2 people on blue.
It's just insane.
It sounds like a balanced game.
That's what happens though. Like, I think what happens is when you have all these clans join one team, and I think a lot of people have premium now. You got to be honest.
Yeah.
Shopbow's been around a while. You have just tons and tons of people on a single team. Like, there's pictures of 20 people on one team and 4 or 5 on the others.
Yeah.
And they always get that phase 1 advantage. Like, eventually, sometimes it evens out, but sometimes it doesn't. And that's a huge problem.
All right, guys. It looks like it's time for me to wrap this up. My wife and my little daughter are home, so I think I'm going to go spend some time with them.
All right. Thank you, Navarr.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great talking with everyone. I hope you all play some Shotbow games in the near future.
For sure.
I
Right
am.
now.
See you around.
See ya.
Yeah, see you. What a guy.
Oh yeah. Swipe.
Y'all hype for this Annie tournament? What's up?
You should answer my question in Shoutbox.
Wait, what do you post? Will there ever be another creative building?
No. Down, like recently.
If an Xbox player.
If an Xbox player claims to have... Okay, hold on. Fox says, if an Xbox player claims to have had sexual relations with your mother, but claims that said mother is simultaneously homosexual, is an Xbox player homosexual as well? Well, see, that goes into
Yes.
like a philosophical
Yes.
kind of argument, right? So first off, you have to deduce and you have to assume that when he says so, what he says is absolute truth, correct?
Yes.
But
Like, he's not lying,
He's not
right?
lying.
But when you say your mom gay, you have to have proof that their mom gay.
Yes.
Their proof is your
Is that
ethical
the proof?
appeal-
Is that the context?
Your ethical appeal of being an Xbox player. So see the thing with Xbox players is they have a sort of sixth sense to know if someone is mum gay.
See, personally, I think having females that are gay and copulating with other females.
Where's this heading?
Your mom gay. Copulating with other
Navarr
females.
left,
pretty
the
sure this
chat
is heading.
didn't go as well.
I got a technology voucher gave me all these pistols.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.